YouTube, Awesome Writer here. Welcome to my review for Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger episode 44. So this was a Zox focused episode, and the first time in a while we've really focused on him and reminded us that he's a character and not a cartoon. I mean, he's a cartoon that's taking a vacation and being a character in this episode, but honestly, I almost forgot, and by almost I mean I did forget about his storyline about bringing his brothers back to normal form with SD-topia and stuff, because it's just been so long since we've touched on his character. Like, usually with the Six Rangers, not always, but in recent years, you know, you get a good handful of episodes focusing on him when they come out, and then after that, they kind of just become a caricature. And in this show in particular, everyone's basically just a cartoon. So I honestly forgot about his storyline until it came up, and it wound up being a pretty good episode. You have the main plot going on about SD-topia monster, and the SD-topia that they've been looking for is now finally out, and this is actually brought about by a plan by Gigi. Bird form manipulates it to go out into the world, and then sets the plan in motion for later because he wants to get rid of Zox out of the situation, so it makes him appear helpful, while also being able to Zox out of the way and then send something after him. Although, you know, Kaiser does warn Kaito not to trust him, but still pretty clever on not Stacy's part. But so there was good stuff going on there. But setting all that aside, the SD-topia monster is there, and Kaiser wants to take him on. And as always, you know, the monster of the week has some sort of ability that leads to some hijinks, and this one's ability is just like what happened to the brothers. It turns everybody into these little chibi, like, SD figures, and that leads to, like, the fun stuff of the week. And there was some pretty amusing stuff with it, like Kaito having to go around and rescuing everybody that are in these little mini forms, both his fellow teammates and just normal people, and there was some pretty amusing stuff with that. And honestly, I love the little mini SD Zenkaigers. Like, I would totally buy a set of those figures. I'm willing to bet that'll be a premium Bandai thing, but I thought that was pretty fun. You know, it's the classic Zenkaiger fare, but I just really liked the adorableness of it. And of course, it led to our, you know, of the week unique transformation, which was them doing the roll call as the little mini guys, except for Kaito, who did not get transformed into that. But that was pretty fun, probably one of my more favorite of the unique roll calls. And then it also stretched into the mecha battle when they made the mecha tiny. And we did do a CGI mecha fight this week. It looks pretty bad. Like, the mini stuff was fun, but in particular for the monster. I mean, Zenroku Zenkai always looks but the monster looked really bad. Like, I know it's never gonna look that great, but like, this is embarrassing, sir. You should be embarrassed. Now that that's out of the way, all the silly stuff, the Stacy planning, the meat of the episode was about Kaiser, and when this monster comes into play, Kaiser really just wants to handle it by himself. You know, that almost kind of annoyingly classic loner, like, oh, I don't want any help despite me working with you this whole time. But we actually find out a little bit backstory about him, that their father had died in front of him, and that he's now like the man of the house, and he wants to do this all by himself. And then that leads to a classic Toku rain fight that's pretty dramatic, and it's pretty cool. I mean, of course, he ruins it later by doing a stupid dance, but to be fair, he also did transform with the tiny Micro Machines version of the Changer, so there was silliness still happening. But it was a pretty good focus episode on him, because it both gave us more backstory about their family and their code or whatever, but it also kind of reaffirmed his change. Because in the final battle, everyone obviously does show up to help him, because this is Sentai. They trade in friendship bracelets. And Kaito's like, whoa, 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 I'm not here to help you. Remember when you first showed up and I was like, oh, you can do whatever you want. I just got to make sure people are protected. I'm just here to protect the people. And he kind of smiles knowingly. It's kind of like that, you know, acknowledgement of change without having to say it. So there was a little bit of character development acknowledgement there. And of course, his sister came to help him because his, as I mentioned, his morpher got chibi-fied. And she just made a tiny little gear, which was funny. And so it was good. It was good stuff for both backstory and a little bit of development, showing how he's obviously come around to working with these guys, even if he doesn't admit it. So it was overall some really good stuff there when he did finally defeat him, and I think he even used the chibi, like, little finisher when he finished him. So there was good stuff there. Like, overall, it was a very solid episode. I was very pleasantly surprised. Again, I had forgotten about Kaiser's storyline. We had taken so long to get back to it, and it was nice to see him as an actual character instead of a caricature. And I like that we got both backstory and a little bit development, also some good Stacy plan stuff. The SD stuff was entertaining. Your standard Zenkaiger fare. I would give this episode a 4 out of 5, though. I would say it was an overall solid one. It was nice to not have just a generic dumb filler, like it actually had some meat to it character-wise, but it also felt like we're continuing to build towards in-gamey type storylines with the Stacy stuff. But what did you guys think about this episode? Let me know in the comments. As always, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Awesome Writer, signing out.